They're good. They're challenging. They obviously are very good fundamentals. You know, they play to their help all the time. Very stout in the run game. They try to confuse you in the secondary, which they did a good job of that today a few times. So obviously one of the better defenses always in the league, and there are a lot of good players. So it was good work for us. I like Ryan a lot. He's a great player. So he's obviously a great leader for that team, and he's done a great job. Last year was phenomenal. The year before that he was great. So I really like Ryan. Competed against him a lot. He's beaten me quite a few times. So I think he's a great player.
The shop ruined Tom Brady for me. Every time he says something, I analyze it and say, what are you really saying there? Are you really saying something negative about Ryan Tannehill? It's kind of what he said on the shop on HBO. But time to break it down. What stood out to you guys most from his comments on the Titans, on Ryan Tannehill? What do you think about what you heard from Brady?
The mutual respect is interesting because obviously Tannehill respects Brady. Remember, they played each other all those years when Tannehill was in Miami, and Tannehill would get the best of Brady sometimes.
100%.
Games, Tannehill would win. So Brady's seen the very best of Tannehill in Miami, and now they're there in Tennessee. But I think he's a respect for the Titans organization. We know the Vrabel connection. Those guys were best of buds when they were in New England. But you might not know about the general manager of the Titans and how last year when this was all going down, there was a lot of talk that Brady might go to the Titans. Now remember, Titans right out of the gate give Tannehill an extension, which was kind of cross that team off the list for Brady. It's now down to the Chargers and maybe the Bucs, but John Robinson's the general manager of the Tennessee Titans. He's one of the most respected general managers in the league, and people don't realize that he was with the Patriots during many of Brady's years with New England, 2009, 2013. So there's mutual respect there as well. This is what we're dealing with, a great franchise, what the Tennessee Titans are right now, with a great stable head coach in Mike Vrabel, good ownership group, a good fan base, and I think Brady respects the heck out of what they've built there. So from Tannehill to the coach, who he knows real well as a former teammate, to the general manager, I think Brady's respect for the Titans is real, it's authentic, and if it wasn't Tampa, it might have been Tennessee, we don't know. In a different world, that path could have happened, but he goes to Tampa where he's okay and he's fine, and now they're having these joint practices. There's a lot of incestual stuff here where Brady knows those guys really well.
He does, and he knows them well, and they have a really good ownership and a GM, and they have a really, really good quarterback.
Yep.
Some of the most interesting stuff that Brady talked about yesterday was not part of that clip, which is not a coincidence, but as pertains to the shop, there was the legendary moment now where he said that when he was a free agent, he talked to a team, and they said, we're good with our guy, and he said, you're going to go with that, bleeper, bleeper? He was asked point blank, hey, was Ryan Tannehill the blah, 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 blah? Which is a fair question because I feel like he's going to get that from every team's media now. And he says, absolutely not, was not Tannehill. And it shouldn't be Tannehill because, you kind of mentioned it, Peter, how he's done. Check out this homage to the state and the career of Ryan Tannehill right now that I'll show you something statistically. Most wins versus Brady ever, including playoffs. Peyton Manning is the most, and then right next is Ryan Tannehill, sandwiched between two first-ballot Hall of Famers. Ryan Tannehill not only has beaten him 2 of the last 3 times he's played against him, he destroyed him in Brady's last game ever as a New England Patriot. So I almost think it's more interesting about Tannehill and the Titans than it is about the Buccaneers because I think so many people made up their mind about Tannehill, and I will put my hand up, I did too. Converted quarterback or converted wide receiver, sort of fine. I used to call him the Caesar salad because he was just okay. He's not just okay. He's excellent. I think people are starting to learn in fantasy football, in reality football. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. In any metric you can put him, especially playing in big games against big-time quarterbacks. I think the Titans are going to destroy the AFC South this year. I'm just going to give it away right now. Yeah. And I think Tannehill's going to be a big part of it, more so than everyone thinks it's going to be Derrick Henry. Watch how good Tannehill is this year. He's excellent.
Most efficient quarterbacks in the National Football League since taking over 2019 Week 7.
Yeah, he's been impressive. And to your point, Kyle, offensively, they have not had any issues. It's been the defense that has struggled. So when you hear Tom Brady talking about, boy, look at this defense and what they're doing, the disguises and how they're constantly moving around, all I can think about is, look, I remember when I played against the Patriots and Mike Vrabel was a linebacker. He was their same linebacker. And guess what? He was running his mouth the entire time, and his whole defense was moving around, and it was this amoeba-like defense. So he played in it. He's brought it with him. He was down in Houston with Romeo Crennel, morphed his own kind of defensive stuff, and now that's what he's brought to Tennessee. A couple of years ago, they were the best third down defense in the league. last year, and since Dean Pease has left, things have been a little bit different. But Mike
bottom
Vrabel
five,
knows
Sean.
exactly how to get inside quarterbacks' minds.
Bottom 5 defense last year.
Yeah,
Brady's out there saying they're the best thing ever.
They were upside down defensively. And for Vrabel, I know he relishes on third down. How can I mess with the quarterback? How can we show all these blitzes and then bail out, or act like we're in coverage here and at the last second come screaming down? He and Tom Brady also know each other really well. And here's what I love about Vrabel. I mentioned he talks through the whole game. Like, he is a big ball buster, loves talking trash. Here's the tweet that he sent out. All right, that's Tom Brady on the left, Mike Vrabel in the middle, and that on the right is Tom Brady's son Jack, who's a ball boy for the Bucks this training camp. You gotta love Vrabel.
Jack Brady talking with his favorite former Patriot, also pictured Tom Brady. It's great.
Sean, you say he talked a lot. You mean like to his teammates and stuff, or like he would talk bleep to you guys?
Oh, talking trash.
Really?
Oh, especially the old lineman.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, talking about how ugly you were and how overweight you were. Oh, yeah, Vrabel loved to put it on you.
No lies.
He didn't like it so much when you brought it back on him and when you put him down on the ground.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen a lot.
Their defensive coordinator is a guy named Shane Bowen, who was linebackers coach, is now coming in. That's going to be the X factor. Defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator is no longer Arthur Smith, who built this amazing thing that they had going on. And now it's Todd Downing, who's been elevated there. So there's some young coaches on that staff who have some big responsibilities if the Titans are actually going to compete with the AFC's best this year.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I was ranking Tannehill, Derrick Henry. Today I'm doing wide receivers in fantasy. How much should I be considering that departure?
It could be good. It could be a good thing.
Or they could say, let's run Derrick Henry.
Exactly right. And Downing comes from the Vikings, but was with the Raiders for a long time and has been with the Titans, I think, since Vrabel's gotten there. So he knows the offense, but it's different when you're calling the shots. But I think Todd Downing's a really good coach, and it could be interesting to watch him this year.
You think A.J. Brown should be in my top 10?
I love AJ. I think he's going to be the number one. Like, I really do mean that statistically. And
overall or in Tennessee?
No, I'm talking about over Julio. Julio. Like, people wonder who's it going to be. The thing that we stumbled upon as a show that's fascinating about the Titans is the Derrick Henry 2,000 yards thing. We were entertaining this idea. What if Derrick Henry went back-to-back 2,000 yards? We looked up every 2,000-yard rusher ever. Barry Sanders and Juice and Terrell Davis and all of them, none of them have had more than 1,400 yards, ever. So, like, the fact that Derrick Henry could even get close to that, the history does not say it will happen.
But if you're Downing, aren't you like, let's use this thing? Like, it's hard to not be like, let's just give him the ball on every